Again, when people say, why do you obey the Bible? Why are you concerned about keeping commandments? You say, well, blame it on Yah. He has caused me. It's His work in me. It was His desire for me to be obedient. And I had to believe and submit to water immersion and receive the circumcision of Messiah. But when I do that, He equips me and empowers me. I didn't get up this morning to go, I got to obey the Bible today. No, obeying the Bible gives me great joy. Pleasing my spouse within the context of the marriage gives me great joy. And He's done this work in me. So He gets all the praise. And we will be rejoicing and praising Him throughout the endless ages of eternity for the work that He's done in us, because He provided a second Shema of Torah. The first one, they disobeyed, they disregarded, they didn't listen, they didn't obey. But right in Torah, we see the second one as a prophecy. There's coming a time after Yeshua fulfills His mission. He dies on the tree, He's buried, He's raised, He ascends to the right hand. That every person who believes in Him and is willing to obey the command to be water immersed and receive the circumcision of Mashiach will receive all that they need to be successful in the marriage. To a praise, an eternal praise to Yah. There is something new about the new covenant. I understand what they mean when they say renewed covenant. It's the same two houses. It's the same 10 words. But there is something new about the new covenant. It's the way that Yah deals with us. It's what He provides for us. He commanded them to be responsible. They failed. And so now He's done something. He's taken it upon Himself to empower us, to enable us to be able to love Him the way He wants to be loved, through obedience. So by obeying the second Shema of Torah, you are empowered to obey the first Shema of Torah. It's not like Yah said, oh, they failed at that. That was a bust. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do something completely different. He didn't disregard His own commands. He didn't say the 10 words are no longer binding. He didn't say we're going to do something different. He didn't say we're going to start some new religion. What He did was He provided within the context of His Torah a second Shema, that in the process of time, in due season, those who would believe upon His Son would be empowered to be able to obey the original Shema. He doesn't take the 10 words and disregards them, casts them off. He internalizes them in you. He puts them in your mind so that you think about how you can love Him the way He wants to be loved. He writes them upon your heart. Again, you become the ark of the covenant. And so I want to take you over to Romans chapter 7. And we're going to get into some verses that you seldom hear taught in proper context. This is Shaul. Let's look at verse 14. This is going to tell us that by believing in Yeshua, we are empowered to fulfill the righteous requirement of the Torah. In other words, obedience to the first Shema. Shaul taught this. It says, for we know that the Torah is spiritual. That doesn't sound evil to me. That doesn't sound like something we need to abolish. In another place, he says it's set apart. It's good. And so these are positive words, not negative words. For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly. In other words, the problem is not with the Torah, it's with me. I am fleshly, sold under sin. This is talking about being a slave to sin. And what is sin, according to the Bible interpretation, definition? Sin is the transgression of Torah. He said, I am fleshly. I'm a slave to disobedience, to the Torah, sold under sin. For what I work or what I do, I know not. I don't understand. For what I wish, in other words, this is talking about his will, what I desire. And what did he wish? He desired to obey Torah. For what I wish, that I do not practice. So even though he desired to obey Torah, he was failing at it. But what I hate, what did he hate? Disobeying Torah. But what I hate, that I do. But if I do what I do not wish, I do not wish to disobey Torah, but I end up doing it. I end up failing. I agree with the Torah that it is good. He has a desire to be obedient, but he's unable to. Verse 17, and now it is no longer I that work it. It's no longer I who do it, but the sin. This is talking about the evil inclinations that reside in the flesh. But the sin dwelling in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwells no good. He's talking about evil desires, evil inclinations that reside in his flesh. For to wish or to will or to desire is present with me. What does he desire to do? Obey Torah. But to work the good, how do we know what's good? Torah defines what is good. To work the good, in other words, to be obedient to Torah, I do not find. He's frustrated. He has a will to obey, but he's not equipped yet to obey. He's failing at it. For the good that I wish to do, that's being obedient to Torah, I do not do. But the evil I do not wish to do, this I practice. So he's disobeying Torah. That's the evil. Verse 20, and if I do that which I do not wish, I don't desire it, it is no longer I who work it, but the sin dwelling in me. The evil inclinations residing in my flesh are driving me to do what I don't want to do. I want to obey Torah, but there's evil within me, in my flesh, driving me to disobey Torah. I find, therefore, this law, or this dynamic, that when I wish to do the good, when I wish to be obedient, when I wish to obey Torah, that the evil is present with me, the evil inclinations in my flesh. Notice, look at verse 22. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim, according to the inward man. Is this Shaul? Christianity teaches that Shaul, or the Apostle Paul, uses his writings to abolish Torah. But we see right here that Shaul is saying, I delight in the Torah of Elohim, according to the inward man. My spirit man delights in the Torah of Elohim. In other words, I want to obey. I delight in it. But I see another Torah, this is little t or little l, law or dynamic. I see another little t Torah in my members, a dynamic working in my flesh. Notice, battling against the little t Torah of my mind. So evil inclinations in my flesh are waging war against my will. The little t Torah of the mind is the will, my desire, what I want to do. These evil inclinations are driving me to do things I don't want to do. I don't want to disobey. But I see another Torah in my members battling against the little t Torah of my mind and bringing me into captivity to the little t Torah, the dynamic of sin, disobedience to the Torah, which is in my members. Well, he gets to this conclusion. Wretched man that I am. I'm a mess, in other words. I'm a mess. Wretched man that I am. Some people say wretched man that I am. Notice, who shall deliver me from this body of death? Shaul knew that his deliverer was not a what, but a who. Yeshua. He's talking about this body, this physical body that houses these evil inclinations. Who is going to deliver me from this body that's so filled with evil, that's warring against my will, against my mind, and driving me into the captivity of sin, transgression of Torah? Who is going to deliver me? Look at verse 25. Thanks to Elohim. We have to read this slowly. We don't want to read over it. Thanks to Elohim. Elohim did it. And I shall, and I shall, and I shall. I'm going to place my Torah in your mind and write it on your hearts. Although under the original covenant, Yah is saying, I commanded you to write my word upon your doors and upon your gates. Now in the new covenant, I'm going to do the writing. I'm going to put my Torah in your mind and I'm going to write it on your hearts. Hallelujah. Thanks to Elohim. And I shall give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. And I shall take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I shall put my spirit within you. And I shall cause you to walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and you shall do them. Thanks to Elohim. Thanks to Elohim. He has done it within us. Through Yeshua, Messiah, our Master. So then, with the mind or the will, I myself truly serve the Torah of Elohim. So with his will, he desires to be obedient to the Torah of Elohim. But with the flesh, the little t Torah or dynamic of sin, which is disobedience to the Torah. Look at Romans chapter 8 and verse 1. There is then, now, no condemnation to those who are in Messiah Yeshua. There is no period there, folks. There's a comma. There's more to the sentence. Who do not walk according to the flesh. In other words, you don't give in to the evil inclinations of your flesh, but according to the Spirit. Because you've received the Spirit of Yah after you've believed, after you've been water immersed, after your heart has been circumcised by Messiah. Yah then breathes on you. And he places his breath in you. And you then have the power to overcome the evil inclinations that reside in your flesh. That's the deliverance that we have. Now, thanks to Elohim, our deliverance has come through what Yeshua has done for us. We've been delivered from the evil inclinations that reside in our flesh. We now have power over those evil inclinations. See, I like to say things to make it clear and to make it simple for all. And so I say things like we receive the want to obey and the power to be obedient. But that's what the scripture says. I'll show it to you and have shown it to you already in several places. Hallelujah. So let me read Romans 8:1 again. There is then now no condemnation to those who are in Messiah Yeshua. Your heart's been circumcised. Who do not walk according to the flesh. You don't give in to the evil inclinations of your flesh. But you walk according to the Spirit of Yah. You have power over the evil inclinations of your flesh. For the little t Torah of the Spirit of the life in Messiah Yeshua, this dynamic of the life that comes by the Spirit that you received after believing in Yeshua, has set me free from the little t Torah, the dynamic of sin and death, which means you sin, you die. You've been set free from that dynamic. Why? Because you're not sinning. You've been empowered to be obedient. And sin is the transgression of the Torah. Hallelujah. Verse 3, for the Torah, this is the capital T Torah, the Torah of Elohim, being powerless, let me explain that, in that it was weak through the flesh. How is the Torah powerless? The Torah is powerless because it doesn't have power to make you obey it. The Torah does not have power to make people obey it. So let's read that verse again. For the Torah being powerless, it can't make people obey it. It didn't make the original bride obey it, did it? It was there, but they didn't obey it. In that, it was weak through the flesh. In other words, the evil inclinations of the flesh caused them to disobey the Torah. Elohim, having sent his own Son in the likeness of flesh, of sin, or in the likeness of sinful flesh, and concerning sin, or because of sin, condemned sin in the flesh. Sin, the transgression of Torah, has been condemned in the flesh. In other words, rendered powerless in the flesh for all who would believe upon Yeshua. So that you're not a slave to disobedience anymore. Hallelujah. Verse 4, this is so powerful, and many people read right past it and they never see it. So that the righteousness of the Torah of Elohim, should be completed in us who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. Now, your translation may say, the righteous requirement of the law. Commands require something of us, do they not? The righteousness of the Torah, or the righteous requirement of the law, should be completed, it says, in us. What does that mean? We have the power to be obedient. We have the power to fulfill what the command requires of us. We have the power to fulfill the righteous requirement of Torah. Simply put, we've been given the power to obey. Obedience has not been extracted from the equation. Obedience has not been removed from the new covenant. You hear people all the time in Christianity say, if you do anything, you've fallen from grace, and now you're a law keeper. And they seem so angry when they say that, a law keeper. And you know what we say, if you're not a law keeper, what are you? A lawbreaker. You're a sinner. You're in disobedience. You're not loving Yah the way Yah wants to be loved. And so they say that obedience has been extracted from the equation in the new covenant. You have not seen a dynamic in which Yah has removed obedience from the covenant. The opposite is true. He has empowered us and enabled us and caused us to be obedient to the commandments. So by obeying the second Shema of Torah, you are empowered to obey the original Shema of Torah. He's given us what we need to be able to obey what they disobeyed. Hallelujah. So that the righteousness of the Torah should be completed in us, who do not walk according to the flesh, who do not give in to the evil inclinations of the flesh, but we walk according to the Spirit. We've been given the want to and the what? The power to be obedient. Ephesians chapter 2, beginning with verse 8 says, for by favor, your Bible may say grace, you have been saved through belief, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of Elohim. It is not by works. This is talking about works apart from belief in Yeshua. We are not saved by completing some degree of obedience to the commandments apart from belief in Yeshua. The only way you can be saved is by believing in Yeshua, to be empowered then to be obedient. And that's what this verse is going to tell us. It is not by works, so that no one should boast. In other words, works apart from belief. Verse 10, for we are his workmanship. Who's doing the work? He is. What is the new covenant defined by? What's the phrase? And I shall. Who's doing the work? He is. For we are his workmanship. He did it. Created in Messiah Yeshua, notice, unto good works. Now, who gets to define good works? Do you? Does religion? Do I? Torah defines good works. So you are not saved by some level of obedience to the commands apart from belief in Yeshua. You are saved by belief in Yeshua unto the ability to obey the commands. Hallelujah. Are you seeing it? And are you seeing it in multiple verses? For we are his workmanship created in Messiah Yeshua unto good works, obedience to the commands. Notice, and this is proof of what I'm saying, which Elohim prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Most Christians read right over that and they don't even know what it means. What was prepared first? The Torah? Or did Yeshua, in essence, was born and lived his life? What came first? Torah. What was prepared beforehand? Torah. So let's read the verse all together. For we are his workmanship created in Messiah Yeshua unto good works, unto obedience. We're talking about the good works, which Elohim prepared beforehand, before Yeshua's appearance. These good works, this Torah, was prepared beforehand. Notice, that we should walk in them. All right. I have two final passages. And this is going to tell us, in no uncertain terms, that believers in the last days are going to be obeying the two Shemas of Torah. Revelation chapter 12, verse 17, and the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed, believers, notice, those guarding the commands of Elohim. What does it mean to guard the commands of Elohim? It means to obey the first Shema, because the first Shema is all about guarding the commands of Elohim. So these believers are going to be obeying the first Shema. And then notice what follows. And possessing the witness of Yeshua Messiah. That's the second Shema. To hear and obey Yeshua, the prophet like Moshe. So we see believers in the last days obeying the first and the second Shema of Torah. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 12. Here is the endurance of the set-apart ones. Here are those guarding the commands of Elohim. That's obedience to the first Shema. And the belief of Yeshua. That's obedience to the second Shema. So this is wonderful. Every time I read over these verses, I am more excited and more in awe of what Yah has done for us. He is doing this work within us. He is providing for us everything that we need to be successful in the covenant, to love Him the way that He wants to be loved through obedience. And He has placed His Torah, the commandments of Elohim, in our minds, and He has written them upon our hearts and empowered us to obey them. Hallelujah. Abba, we love you so much. And we know that these dynamics that we've talked about tonight are definitive of the new covenant. This is what you have done for us. This is what you have done in us so that we can be successful. You have caused us to walk in your laws and guard your right rulings, and we shall do them. We thank you that our deliverance from the evil inclinations that reside in our flesh comes through your Son and our Master and Mashiach, Yeshua. And by hearing Him and obeying Him, in essence, believing upon Him and submitting ourselves to water immersion, our hearts are circumcised, and you give us the want to obey and the power to be obedient. And so we see in your word tonight that obedience has not been removed from the covenant, but the ability to obey has been given to us so that we can love you the way you want to be loved, and that's through obedience to your commands. And when we obey your commands, we are letting our lights so shine that men and women will see our good works as defined by Torah and have a desire to show great esteem to our Father who's in the heavens. We thank you for this. Thanks be to Elohim in the matchless name of your Son and our Master and Mashiach, Yeshua. Amen and amen. Hallelujah.